My Hero Academia Season 6 complete recap. The season was fire! Let's get into it. The season begins with Hawks discovering the location of Shigaraki's current experimentation. With this, the pro heroes split into two teams, one which will storm the Liberation Front's headquarters and one that will raid a hospital to apprehend the Nomu doctor. Team Endeavor confronts Dr. Garaki and he is restrained, but he turns out to be a clone. As the real Garaki attempts to flee with Shigaraki, Mirko breaks into the secret lab. Endeavor and his group deal with the rampaging Nomus on the surface, while the UA students evacuate the city. Dr. Garaki releases 5 high-ends to fight Mirko, while he escapes and rushes to complete Shigaraki's power-up. Mirko is injured but defeats 2 Nomus. Meanwhile, the other hero group attacks the front's villa. The heroes close all the exits from the assembly hall, trapping the Liberation Front underground. Hawks betrays twice and he begins to break down, realizing he is at fault for the invasion. Before Hawks can finish twice, Dabi intervenes. Despite that, Hawks manages to fatally wound twice, and in his dying moments, he saves Toga and Mr. Compress. Dabi overpowers Hawks and prepares to burn him alive. At the hospital, Mirko rushes toward Garaki, getting injured badly but managing to destroy Shigaraki's containment capsule. Backup arrives, with Present Mike capturing Garaki and leaving Exless to watch over the comatose Shigaraki. It is revealed that Shigaraki had received the original All-for-One quirk, and then a jolt of electricity awakens him. Elsewhere, Tokoyami saves Hawks and escapes. At the lab, the awakened Shigaraki kills Exless and unleashes his powered-up decay, destroying everything. The heroes focus on evacuating the citizens, and Shigaraki reveals some quirk-destroying bullets Garaki was recreating. He then summons Makia to him. Endeavor faces Shigaraki head-on, who is OP with his new super regeneration and extra quirks from All for One. Deku realizes that Shigaraki wants to steal One for All, so he isolates himself, accompanied by Bakugo. Shigaraki engages them, but they are saved by Gran Torino. Eraserhead erases Shigaraki's quirks, and the heroes continue to fight him, though his physical strength is unmatched. He then summons a group of Nomus from underground. While the heroes fight the Nomus, Shigaraki tries to kill Eraserhead, but Deku stops him. The top heroes then proceed to overwhelm Shigaraki with their coordinated attacks. At the villa, Makia carries the League of Villains members on his back and heads straight to Shigaraki. Mount Lady tries to slow him down, and Midnight attempts to put him to sleep, but they are stopped. With the heroes busy fighting the villains, the UA students must prepare to intercept Makia. They set up a trap, planning to sedate him and knock him out. Their attempt does not go as planned, but Kirishima manages to get a canister into his mouth. Makia then transforms and beelines for Shigaraki. Meanwhile, in Jaku, Shigaraki critically injures Gran Torino and goes after Eraserhead, but is held back by Deku and Ryukyu. Despite this, he manages to hit Eraserhead in the leg with a quirk-destroying bullet. To avoid losing his quirk, Eraserhead cuts his leg off. Shigaraki then manages to take him out of the fight. Shigaraki begins to regenerate and prepares to finish everyone off, only for his body to suddenly overload. Deku unlocks the 7th user's quirk, Float, and starts fighting Shigaraki alone. Bakugo and Shoto get Endeavor into the air so he can finish Shigaraki off for good. As he burns alive, All for One takes over and knocks Endeavor away while attacking Deku. Bakugo pushes Deku out of the way and takes the hit. Deku snaps and attacks Shigaraki, who touches him and tries to steal One for All, but the previous wielders appear and deny the transfer of the quirk. Having failed, All for One tells Shigaraki to flee, but he keeps fighting. Meanwhile, on Makia's back, Toga leaves to confront Ochako and Tsuyu. Toga lures Ochako into a house and they fight. Tsuyu appears to help Ochako, but Toga escapes. Makia finally arrives and reclaims Shigaraki just as he's knocked unconscious. Dabi then unveils himself and reveals he is Endeavor's son, Toya. At the same time, Skeptic hacks into all the televisions across the country, broadcasting Dabi's identity and other dirty laundry on Endeavor and the heroes. Dabi then prepares to burn everyone, but Best Jeanist suddenly intervenes. Shigaraki orders several of the Nomus to attack Jeanist. Mirio then returns, saving Jeanist and revealing that Eri used Rewind to get his quirk back. Shoto fights Dabi while Endeavor is in shock. Makia breaks free from the fibers and Endeavor uses his last remaining strength to knock into him, causing him to finally collapse from the anesthetic. On the verge of losing to the heroes, Mr. Compress sacrifices himself to save the League members. Deku then unlocks the 4th user's quirk, Danger Sense. Spinner reawakens Shigaraki, but All for One is still in control and he flees with the Nomus. In the aftermath of the war, all the wounded heroes are taken to hospitals to recover. Dr. Garaki, Mr. Compress, Makia, Redestro, and 16,000 plus members of the Paranormal Liberation Front are arrested. Society is in shambles. That night, All for One within Shigaraki commands the Nomus to storm Tartarus and free his main body. All the villains from Tartarus are freed, and All for One sends the Nomus and inmates to attack 7 other prisons, freeing their prisoners. Elsewhere, all the heroes begin their recovery, but Deku is still in a coma. Best Jeanist reveals he was put into a death-like state to fool Dabi before he was revived. Outside, society is overrun with villains as many hero offices are shut down. Civilians have started to take matters into their own hands, using support items to fight villains, but their inexperience only leads to more death and damage. Meanwhile, Deku is in the Vestige world, where he talks with the previous wielders. It is revealed that to avoid dying early from One for All, the wielder must be quirkless. In the real world, All Might tells Hawks and Jeanist about One for All. Deku then wakes up and exiles himself to protect his classmates. Deku becomes a lone wolf vigilante, defeating a rampaging muscular while using the 6th user's quirk, Smokescreen. Deku reveals he is teaming up with Endeavor, Hawks, and Best Jeanist to lure the villains out of hiding. While out on patrol, Deku's GPS goes out while All Might's car is attacked by a smoke bomb. It turns out his phone was sniped by the former pro hero Lady Nagant, one of the Tartarus escapees. She uses her quirk Rifle to shoot at him from afar, with the goal of capturing him. She is accompanied by Overhaul, who she rescued from Tartarus. It is also revealed that she was given a second quirk, which allows her to walk on air. To defeat her, Deku uses Smokescreen and the 3rd user's quirk, Fajin, which lets him store energy in his limbs. Unleashing the energy, Deku grabs Nagant. She explains that she was an assassin, doing the dirty work for the commission, and that she became fed up with their underhanded ways. Then, to catch him off guard, Nagant suddenly takes a shot at Overhaul. With no hesitation, Deku uses the power of Fajin to save him and defeat Nagant. Deku asks her to join their fight, but her body suddenly explodes, due to a failsafe All for One left inside her. With her last remaining strength, Nagant tells the heroes of All for One's location. Deku and the top heroes go to All for One's hideout, only to find it abandoned. There, a recording left by All for One taunts Deku for his failures. Over the next several days, Deku proceeds to tirelessly travel through the city, saving whoever he can and refusing to stop and rest. He begins to collapse while fighting another hitman, but is saved by Bakugo and his classmates. They had met with Endeavor and Nezu, getting their approval to bring him back to UA. Stubbornly, Deku refuses to give in and prepares to escape. His classmates try to restrain him, but after many failed attempts, he uses Fajin to blast himself away for good. As a last-ditch effort, the class combines all of their abilities to blast Ida towards Deku, catching him. On the ground, Bakugo apologizes for bullying him, and Deku finally gives in. After, the class takes him to a heavily fortified UA, only to be met by a mob of angry civilians, demanding he stay away. It is explained that the UA barrier has implemented significant technology to keep it fortified from villains, and to protect the civilians inside. Despite this, the civilians continue to protest Deku's presence. Ochako pleads with the public, explaining that heroes need protection too. The public sees Deku's tattered appearance and decide to lend him their strength. Meanwhile, it is revealed that UA is trying to reawaken Kurogiri, who was Aizawa's former classmate. Outside UA, All Might leaves to find more civilians, with Stain following. At the site of his final battle in Kamino, All Might is confronted by Stain. Stain spits some bars about what it means to be a true hero, and hands All Might a data disk he had retrieved from Tartarus, containing important information. At UA, Deku finally gets to chill with his friends and get some rest. Later, All Might meets up with the police force, and reveals that All for One's consciousness within Shigaraki was able to communicate with his real self through radio waves, with the conversation revealing that Shigaraki's body will be complete in just 3 days. In preparation, All Might requests immediate aid from the foreign heroes. The season ends with America's #1 hero ready to join in on the action. Now you should be completely caught up with everything that happens. Make sure to enjoy season 7, guys. Peace.